We are back. Welcome to Shark Coast Tactical Podcast, episode 43. I'm here with special guest, Grandmaster Pepperoni.
That's me.
What's your name, dude?
Les Kismartoni. But everybody thinks Kismartoni is Italian, which it isn't. Nothing against Italy. And Italians, their food is great. Beautiful country. But I'm Hungarian, and everybody in Chicago thought that I was Italian, so Pepperoni was a nickname.
Oh, so Pepperoni's going way back.
Oh, yeah.
My mind is blown. I thought that was your real name.
Pepperoni? Yeah. It's only confusing when I order pizza. So, what's your name? Pepperoni. Like, you want pepperoni? No. My name is Pepperoni. It's in the system as Pepperoni.
It's in the system as Pepperoni.
Yeah.
So it's okay if people see you out and just say, hey, Pepperoni.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because you're actually, you're the guy who kind of runs the Monday night match. Like, you do it a lot.
I do. Since I've changed careers in the past 2 years, I've been doing it, unfortunately, less. The guy who used to run it is Kyle Stevens, and he's also a Grandmaster, very talented shooter. And he has segued into running a charter company, Lucky 13 Charters, out of Sarasota here.
Fishing charters or?
Fishing charters.
Okay.
And very talented fisherman, great guy. And so he hasn't been back in a bit. And the problem with a lot of local clubs, and let's say if it's USPSA or IDPA or any of these like action shooting things, it's like you need a couple of guys who are your core bros that are going to go out and going to build the stages and figure out how to run the shooters and welcome the newer shooters and set the tone for how the club is going to behave, right? And that's a tall order because you need some people who've got some experience that are going to go out and do that. And you need people who are going to show up and build stages that are worth shooting, and it's not just the same every week, because that can get pretty old. So especially if you're trying to attract people who are better shooters, other grandmasters or other masterclass shooters, or just people who are really trying to level up in a way, you're trying to build stages and give them a shooting challenge that's going to encourage them to come back. Mm-hmm. And that's tough to do because it's an all volunteer sport, right?
Yep.
So people show up. It's not like we get paid to set up these Monday night matches. I got to pay my match fees like anybody else. And, you go there and you're trying to set up everything so that it's going to run efficiently, so that we can at least get 4 stages in, or at least 3 really good stages in, maybe 4, maybe 5 stages, depending on how many people turn up, and just keep it going.
How long have you been involved with the Monday night match?
So I've been involved with the Monday night match since I moved down to Florida in 2018.
Okay, so that's a bit of time.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. Before that, back in Chicago, there's a place called the Alpha Range. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. Like, there's a guy, Point One Tactics, Donovan Moore, Kerry Trainer, Mickey Shook.
Okay, Kerry Trainer.
Yeah, so they, like, all these guys, I don't want to say they got their start shooting at the Alpha Range, because they've shot previous to that too, but a lot of it has been centered on having this amazing facility up in Chicago to come and train at and run their classes at and just network. And we ran the McHenry Ipsic Shooting Society up there, MISS, great name for a shooting club. I ran that for, 12 years. And that club has been around for, I want to say, 30 years now. And the guy who runs it now, he shoots a lot of international matches. He's a guy who lives up in Wisconsin. He's a wastewater worker and stuff. Awesome guy, really motivated shooter. And he runs a couple of the clubs up there, McHenry Ipsic, and then another one. And like, some of these clubs have been around for 30 plus years. The other club that he runs has been around for, I want to say, like 70 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's that old.
Yeah. So the Monday night stuff, coincidentally, I think it's been running, and the people who've come out and actually put on the matches and put on the stages and run the shooters and all this stuff, it's varied a little bit over the years. Like, Kyle has run it for a while now. He's not running it as much. I'm not there as much as I'd like to be on Monday nights. I got to work. the overnights. And the issue is that, you kind of get like people coming in and coming out of the thing. But I think that the club has been around for about 15 years plus.
There's clubs out there that are 70 years old.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
did you know that, Dean?
No, I did not.
They've started. So IPSC,
what were they fucking shooting 70 years ago?
right. So IPSC as a sport, I think I want to say it was 1977 or 1978 where Colonel Cooper came up with the idea for the sport. And they've been shooting things like Bianchi Cup for a long time before that. So I want to say they've shot Bianchi Cup since the 60s, since John Bianchi, I think, has been building holsters for, I think he was a deputy or a police officer somewhere in L.A., either with the sheriff's office over there or with the LAPD. Regardless, he was making holsters and everything like that. And then he had the idea for action pistol matches. And then that's essentially what the NRA shoots for a lot of their action pistol matches. And that has, as a sport, has waned in popularity compared to IPSC, which really got its start in late 70s, early 80s. And by 84, USPSA starts, and where the USPSA is the region of IPSC, which is the international organization. And they shoot this all over the world, right? And that stuff has been around for, 40 plus years? But then there's some clubs that have done other things or other action pistol or outlaw action pistol matches.
What's outlaw action pistol?
That's like what we do on a Monday night.
What does outlaw connotate?
So you're not following the rules of USPSA.
Oh, fuck yeah, no rules.
Or IDPA. And so we've got guys who show up with, ARs and suppressors, and generally you can't like show up at a match for like practical pistol match shooting an AR and a suppressor. But on Monday night, hey man, have at it. You want to do that? Go do it. Or like JR's kid shows up and he shoots like 22, or now he's shooting a 9. It's like, hey man, if you want to, bring your kid and have them shoot a 22 and they're capable of doing that, and it's not going to totally stall the match out for time, great. Let them do it. Let these kids learn how to shoot and how to get that competition somewhere, right? That's better for the sport, better for the gun culture on a whole, if you think about it. But there's other people who come up with suppressors, or they're shooting in their duty gear or anything like that. Hey man, go do it. And I mean, if you go to a USPSA match shooting, with a suppressor, they're going to ask you to take it off, because it's just not generally how the sport works. But you've got problems.
They're allowed to have PCC, but they're not allowed to have suppressors?
Correct. Part of it is just the competitive equity as far as the shot timer picking up the report, because that's how the shot timer works. It's got to pick up the snap of the, either the action or the actual boom of the cartridge going off. But if they can't hear it, then that's a problem. So they've just kind of banned some of that competitive equity.
Wouldn't like whoever makes a shot timer make a shot timer that would pick it up with the suppressor on it?
Yeah, I mean, some of the better ones are, like AMG, they build their timers out of Tampa. There's a couple other companies that build suppressors that will actually hear the click if you're dry firing or something. That's pretty cool. They'll pick up like a suppressed, but then you've got to change the sensitivity, because you've got a guy who's shooting with an open gun with a compensator. It's super loud. You're going to pick up, especially if we're shooting indoor, you're going to pick up a lot of like artifacts, like echoes and stuff like that.
So the club that you called the match, the Monday night match. So is there a certain amount of how many core people are part of it that are developing the stages and who are like the part of the club? Like I never heard of it referred to it that way before.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably about 5 or 6 of us that are consistently there. Chris Hobson, he's a really good guy.
I think I got a trigger for him.
A what?
A trigger.
A trigger for? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no. So there's
the M&P.
Yeah. Like he complained about his trigger, and I called Smith & Wesson or I texted him and said, "Hey, can you get me he wants the Pro. Mm-hmm. He wants the nice. He's got not a nice gun, but he wants the nice trigger. Mm-hmm. So I got it for him.
Awesome.
If you see him, tell him to come down here.
Yeah, we'll do.
We'll put it in for him.
We'll see him on Monday night.
Yeah, the Monday night thing, I can't go all the time. It depends on like how busy the store is. like if the store is not busy, I have to do a live video, or at least if I need to promote things for the store, I've got to do it live on Facebook on Monday. It helps, with the whole week.
Sure.
So I can't. I'd like to go every Monday night, but like I need money more. So
Absolutely, business before pleasure, right? So
unfortunately, yeah.
yeah, I got to work every other Monday, so I'm like, well, can't go and do the match. But
So you are Florida law enforcement. Can we say that?
I am, yeah. That's
Okay.
correct, yeah.
We can't say anything else besides that.
No. Then the department may have issues with that. But
We wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
explain like your choice of firearms for competition versus duty versus carry. Like, do you have it differentiated, and how do you have it geared?
I think part of the beauty in the sport is if you want to go and compete with like a full race gun, right? You want to shoot like USPSA's open class where the sky's the limit, and it's pretty specific. It used to be maybe more specific 10, 15 years ago as far as the caliber went, because you're trying to build enough gas to work the compensator, and you have an optic which is on a bridge, so the optic doesn't reciprocate with the slide. But open is still pretty popular, but it's dying off a little bit because the ubiquity of, look in the gun cases here, there's tons of guns that have optics on it, right? Mm-hmm. And, Glock with the slide ride optic, you can compete at a very high level with that, which would be the same gun that you would just carry. Donovan Moore and Buck Lawler, they're two local shooters in the Florida region. Or actually Donovan's up in Chicago area, but they're both shooting with Donovan shooting M&P. Buck is also shooting an M&P. I don't think the guns have been totally tricked out. Maybe they've got some go fast parts in there, but it's still like a carry gun at the end of the day. They're shooting from concealment. So if you want to go and you want to shoot a national level event like that with how you're going to carry a gun, go ahead, go do it. I competed with a Beretta 92 for...
But no, so like that was the question. Like, what are you using?
Yeah, now I'm using the same gun that I use for work, which is a Glock. So
okay.
Yeah.
So is it Glock 45 with an
Glock
optic?
Glock 45 with an optic.
What optic?
Yeah, 509T.
Okay.
It's
You like cool with the closed emitter?
It's okay. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I didn't choose this gun. The department chose this gun.
Do they let you modify it at all?
No. Well, very little bit. Anything that's not going to be a lasting modification. So if you're going to do grip reductions or anything like that, you can't. But if you want to run a different light than what they issue, go for it. If you want to put like a cut backstrap on or a grip force adapter or something like that, have at it. If you want to run like a Seattle Slug or like one of those shooting sports innovation, like tungsten plugs in the gun and, have a little like Glock butt plug on there, have at it. You can do that. Some of the mag, like the bumper plates and stuff like that, bumper pads, like you can run a couple of those as well. Like they have some issues with people who are trying to put extendos together and, are they going to run or aren't they going to run? Sometimes those mags need a little bit of tuning to shake out. So the department armorers are sometimes worried about some of that stuff working or not, which is why they tell people to hold off on that. But if you can convince them and show them it's reliable, then I think they're more apt to say.
So stock trigger.
Yeah, stock trigger.
Stock trigger.
In a perfect world, and you got to pick whatever gun you wanted to use on duty, what would you pick?
A very unpopular choice probably because it weighs a ton, but I really enjoyed shooting a double single.
Nice.
Beretta 92 was, for me, it was a great gun, reliable to a fault. Is it a wonderfully modern design where you can easily mount optics on it? No. Beretta has solved that with some of their stuff on the newer 92X performance guns and stuff like that. It's still a great gun.
Yeah.
They changed a little bit with the trigger and the trigger geometry and everything, but I had no reservations running like a 92G. Essentially, is what I shot for a long time, and I liked it. It was an uncomplicated gun to run, and it was a real workhorse.
Yeah, that was my first gun. Was a 92.
Yeah,
it's a great gun.
So, what division do you shoot in?
I carded. I got my Grandmaster in production, which is an older low cap division.
Yeah.
So I haven't shot production probably in 12 years or so, but it used to be a 10 round mag limit, right? So the game was not just about the shooting, but it was about like how you're going to plan out your stage for when you're going to do your reload, and how are you going to approach this puzzle so that you most efficiently reload the gun and keep the gun topped off and running. And we're going to test your ability to reload the gun frequently, right? So stages in USPSA are capped at 32 rounds. Stages in IDPA are capped at, I want to say 18 rounds. So the point is at some point you're going to have to reload the gun in both of these sports if you're running 10-round mag limits. And it's a valid test, so you kind of have to keep doing that. They've changed production. Production, I think, now allows 15 rounds, but it's a bit of a dying division. It's like, hey, that's a stock gun with a stock sights, and you want to shoot that? Hey, go compete in production. That was the idea. And it was also harkens back to the assault weapon ban, where high cap magazines were tougher to come by, but they still wanted to encourage people to go out and shoot the sports and participate. So that was a good way to build that. IDPA also had that same thing too, where they had a 10-round mag limit, little shorter stages, more practicable approach to some of the stage designs. It wasn't quite as hoserish is what people feel about IDPA. Also really cool sport. And that was a good way to test yourself, was doing that. Later on, I shot limited division. I competed from an appendix carry. I think when we shot together, I was probably still doing that.
It was insane to watch.
Yeah, it was fun. It was like, I liked, you can get really fast drawn from an appendix, drawn from your underwear. And that was fun to do just with an iron-sighted gun. I don't want to go to an optic gun. And because the restriction in USPSA was there's no restriction on where the holster placement is in limited division or an open division. Well, in open division, you got people who are shooting, the scoring is slightly different, and you're shooting against people who have an optic and a comp and everything. Yeah. So I'll just shoot with the iron sights and just gas up the magazines, and off we go. So if your magazine can hold like 22, 23 rounds and plus one in the pipe, like you're good to solve most stages and maybe need a reload. Most of the stages are going to be a little over 20 rounds or so when they get interesting. Yeah. And in field courses, there's always a lot of movement, so you'll be able to figure out where you're going to plan a reload at that point. But
if I remember correctly, that was a Tang Folio at that time?
No, that was the Beretta.
I
shot the Beretta. Yeah, shot the Beretta 92G. Yeah, then like I'm wearing a Langdon shirt. Langdons have been great. I used to be sponsored by them. Used to be sponsored by Wilson Combat, and I shot their version of the Beretta because Bill Wilson apparently is awesome, loves Berettas, and convinced Beretta to build a run of pistols, and that was the Wilson Combat 92G that they had for a long time, which is cool. He just went to Beretta and said, "Hey, how many guns do I need to buy if you're going to build it to this spec?" And they were like, "Well, you need to, I don't know, 2,000 or whatever." He's like, "Sold. Here you go. Here's my cash." And okay, so I was a bit of a redheaded stepchild on the Wilson Combat shooting team because everybody else is shooting their. They were coming out with the EDC X9 at that point, which is a really cool take on a 1911 style ergos, but with a different magazine system centered around a 9mm cartridge rather than a 45 or 38 Super Comp, right? So the length and the internal dimensions are a little bit different. It's built around that 9. And, but most people were shooting their 45s or the 45s that they had been, 1911 pattern guns that they had built around 9mm cartridge. And so I'm the weird guy who's running a Beretta that says Wilson Combat on the side. It's like, just don't ask.
Let him do his thing. Let him burn it down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hold my beer and But the sport has changed a lot. Like in practically 20 years of doing it, you had a lot more people who open was very popular. Limited was dominated by 40 caliber guns. And it still is, but limited is also, I don't want to say a dying division, but there's far less participation in it.
What's limited?
Limited is like if you have a custom 40 caliber gun, high cap, with no optic and no compensator. That's limited division. You're not limited on where your holster or your mag placement can go. You're not limited on the capacity. You're limited as far as like how long your magazine can be and a little bit on the dimension of the gun.
Does it have to be 40?
Most people opt to shoot 40 because in limited, if you're shooting 40 caliber, you gain what's called major scoring. So the way the target is everybody who shoots an alpha, you get 5 points. If you're shooting a 9mm and you hit a Charlie, which is the first scoring zone outside of the alpha, you're getting 3 points. In limited, you're getting 4 points. So take the Charlies, man. Like, burn it, right? If you throw 2 Charlies, whatever, you're just down 2 points. Who gives a shit, right? Nick, can I swear? I don't know.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. But like nobody cares. It's like, 10 points versus 8 points. Like if you gain that time because you can whack the trigger pretty sportily, especially on those heavy 1911 or 2011 pattern guns, insanely light triggers. That was what limited was about. So you wanted 40 caliber because you wanted that major scoring. That was a whole purpose of it. In open, 9mm because it was built around like 38 Super Comp. And then there was a cartridge that they had, 38 Super. Then 38 Super Comp was a rimless version of 38 Super, which just stacks better in the magazine. You don't have like rim lock issues and a couple other weird things like that. Then people were like, well, with better powders and better bullet designs, we can just take and make 9mm bullets and essentially just pack it full of powder and then just hardly seat the bullet on top. And now we have 9 major. So people are like, okay, well, this can work. So they started building open guns around a 9mm style bullet. And so nobody really runs 38 Super Comp. So this, again, the sport has changed a little bit. But limited is not as popular as it was even 10 years ago. Open's not nearly as popular as it was 10 years ago. Carry optic is insanely popular.
What's carry optic?
Carry optic is you've got a Glock. Here, that gun, that's a carry optic gun. It's a gun that you would carry. It has an optic. The optic reciprocates with the slide.
And it's a Glock 17. It's not really a carry gun.
That's a carry gun.
You can carry it. I can't, but he can.
Carry it.
For big guys.
Yeah.
You can't have gas pedals, comps, magwells, any of that stuff.
Well, you can have smaller magwells now in carry optic.
Okay.
You can have smaller gas pedals now in carry optic. But now they also have limited optic, which is a heavy 2011 style gun with an optic on it.
It sounds like a lot of rules.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
The rules are there because I think.
Dean, what did you shoot?
I shot an open with a staccato, and like he was saying, like the major and minor points. Factory 9mm rounds. I'm getting minor, which is not that great.
You're losing points.
Yeah, losing points. My optic sits on the slide instead of having like a stationary optic mount. So my optic's moving around every time I'm firing. So I had some disadvantages, but it was still fun. I like comp guns. That's why I wanted to shoot open. So we went for it.
You have a carry comp, like a staccato carry comp?
Staccato XC. Yeah. Staccato XC,
Yeah.
And Dean, you and Omar are going to go do the match. Omar says, Guncraft?
Guncraft.
Oh, yeah, Ruskin.
When's that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
They do every, the first Sunday and third Sunday of the month. So,
Okay, so and you guys are going and doing it.
yeah, as long as it doesn't rain.
Is it going to be Team Dean?
Well, no. Omar is shooting. I don't think I'm shooting. I'm going out to help Omar.
What do you mean you're not shooting?
You should go shoot.
I haven't shot that level in a while, so
Go shoot. If
I
you're
shoot a lot of long range.
Oh.
Oh, that's not fair, Dean. You can't like just Mr. Miyagi fucking Omar.
Oh, he
What do you mean?
You got to go shoot too.
he really helped me get to where I am.
I'm trying to get him to go out to
I
his
know
first
he
one.
is Mr. Miyagi when it comes to, but it's not. He's got to go shoot too.
Yeah, he taught me like most of everything I learned getting started into pistol shooting. Almost,
That's good.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
and all the talk of we'll shoot together, we'll build you up together as I kind of get back into it. And then he found out about bolt guns, and then he just kind of
He did that.
No, we didn't find out. I already was doing bolt. I stopped bolt guns to go learn pistols.
He did that with me too, with World of Warcraft. he was like, "Come play," and then he fucking ghosted me when I was there.
We won't even
Now I'm
get
still
into
playing,
that.
and no
We won't
one.
even get into that.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened.
So do you shoot like the PSA matches out here?
Yeah, the Guncraft, yeah.
Yeah. Or at Guncraft?
Yeah,
or
Guncraft.
At Manatee.
Guncraft, yeah. I live all the way up towards Guncraft.
No, but with the bolt rifles and stuff like that? Or the
Down
PSA?
in Immokalee, and then
Okay, yeah.
they're going to start some at Manatee. They do like what are they doing out there now? Oh, bench rest. Shoot, I'm doing bench rest. I want to do PRS. Yeah, exactly. I want to do PRS. Run around with a bolt gun, setting it up, firing multiple different targets and moving.
So the guy who used to have a heavier hand in running the club, that's Kyle Stevens. He used to run the PSA matches out at Manatee Gun Club. Awesome bolt gun shooter, right? So
Kyle, yeah.
Kyle,
I never knew that.
wicked good, yeah.
Man of many trades.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Fisher, Grandmaster pistol shooter.
Oh yeah.
Bolt gun.
Florida state champion multiple times.
That's got to be the safest boat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Really safe, unless he shoots. But I think there was that other club that had I can't remember the name, but it was closer to like Lakeland, and I think they've just reopened again now. They have a range, like a longer range, and I think they want to start doing some sort of PSA style matches.
Really?
There. I'm not a rifle shooter.
I have to look at it. I don't even know about that one.
Yeah, I'll send you the a guy who knows a little bit more, because I think they're looking for members to go out and do some of that stuff.
I'd be interested.
It's a bit of a hike, but it's probably closer than Immokalee.
Yeah, Immokalee is far. I love the long distance shootings. I drive it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fall asleep while driving, right? Oh man. But,
So, like you've spent 20, I guess, like what you just said, you spent like 20 years shooting, and I've spent, 15 years like running a gun shop, and for the majority of it, I couldn't really shoot that much. I mean, I usually work 6 days a week, and then like sometimes I can go shoot. And just recently, I've like the last 3 or 4 years, I've been able to shoot at least 1 day a week. But so excuse my ignorance in a lot of things, but what the fuck's a Grandmaster? I don't understand.
okay.
Like I really don't. I'm sorry.
So we've got like a hood, and
Exactly.
we go to these meetings, and no.
Is it next to the Grand Poobah or?
The Grand Poobah, right? We've got a buffalo, but Flintstones.
Exactly.
But probably most of these guys don't know the Flintstones anymore. But
Yeah. I said that today to Luke. I was like, Grand Poobah? And Luke was like, huh?
yeah. Oh boy. So basically, there's a lot of these graded shooting exercises.
Okay.
And they've changed a little bit in the past, I want to say a year or two, as far as like what they're called classifiers. So you go out, and the intent, I think, of the people who organize the sport was that you would go out and you would shoot like a classifier per club match. So you're going to Guncraft to go shoot a match. At some point, they're going to run the classifier.
Yeah.
And the classifier is, they've tape measured that thing out, and they've figured out the spacing on all the targets, and they've put the targets up at the prescribed height and everything, so it's repeatable. That's the whole idea, is that it's repeatable. And now everybody who shoots that, they submit the scores nationally, and based off of how everybody performs nationally, they'll be able to assign you a percentage.
Okay.
And that percentage will count for a ranked score. So you shoot enough of these classifiers, and you earn like a handicap, like in golf or something like that, right? You're going to earn your handicap, you're going to earn your percentage, and well, it starts at unclassified, and then a lot of people will become, like I was when I first started, a D-level shooter, which means you're kind of terrible, like you're shooting under 50% on all these classifications. Then at some point, like you kind of crack 50 to 60% or whatever it is, and you become a C-class shooter. And it's like, oh, wow, I'm moving up. And then B-class, A-class, master class. And the people who shoot like 95% or better, like averaged over a whole bunch of these runs, they're the Grandmasters, right? So I haven't shot a USPSA match now I shot a larger law enforcement match up in Tennessee, which actually counted for classification. But I haven't shot like a classifier now as part of a local match, because I haven't shot very often in the past 2 years, other than our Monday night matches. And but generally, like, I would still perform like in 85 to 90 or whatever in that range, and I would still be able to shoot pretty well without having to like grind away at it every day. Like when I was at the peak of my shooting prowess, as I moved down here and everything, then kind of got really back into it before, I want to say like 2021. It was still really like going up. I was shooting a lot more like GM level scores then.
So it's basically just it's the national or international classification, and it's basically 95 or 85% and above.
Yeah, so 85%,
classification?
85% to 95%, that's a master level competitor, right? And then 95 and higher
Oh, so it's 95 and higher.
is a grandmaster.
Oh, fuck. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Real
Yeah.
good.
So so what does it test? So things that are, you shoot the gun, you want to shoot it reasonably accurately, right? You want to be able to shoot like an 8.5 by, like almost like that sheet of paper. That's your scoring area for an A zone, give or take. Like, I don't know exactly what the dimensions are, but you want to be able to get more alphas than not. You want to be able to do those alphas expeditiously. So 2 shots on the same target, that's a split. So your follow-up shots, can you split the gun quickly? Can you move the gun from target to target? Those are called transitions. Can you do that quickly, right, on the clock? Can you reload the gun? Can you draw the gun and perform these manipulations that you're going to need to do in order to get the gun into the fight, right, or onto the stage and do that? And that's what it's all testing, right? Some of the stages now, some of the classifiers now will test like the ability to move or displace maybe like 6 to 8 feet or something, give or take, or shoot around like a simulated wall or something. So like what we've done on Monday nights, your ability to like get the gun up and get it into the fight and shoot and do something with it while you're on the clock and do it quickly. That's what these classifiers are testing. And they're all graded as more and more people shoot these classifiers, more and more people get these percentages assigned to them, right? So
Why are you a cop and not like a trainer?
I had a training company, full disclosure, back in Chicago, and then I had one down here. And I actually love training. That's one of the reasons why I became an officer.
Yeah, I can hear it in your in the way you describe things.
Right. I'd love to do this at the department level because I think there's a really big deficiency in law enforcement. Okay, so you've got a couple of things, right? Like you got to make sure everybody's going to be safe, right?
Yep.
We've got to have that as the fundamental like slab that everything else that this house of cards is built on, right? And if that's shaking, then the cards are going to fall, right? The next thing is really like shooting the gun reasonably accurately is pretty important. Being able to do the things that are really important to get the gun into the fight or get the gun up on the target, drawing the gun, reloading the gun. Those are manipulations that aren't necessarily like shooting, but that you got to do so that you're not just burning time. Then it's really like shooting the same target quickly, then spreading it over multiple targets, playing with distances and stuff like that. This is stuff that I think it's a preservation of oneself if you're a police officer. It's not like we're getting into tons of gunfights. Thank God no one wanted to do this job, right? If that was like the
Or maybe more people would want to do the job.
Right, maybe. But it's one of those hard skills where when the chips are down, like if you know what you're doing, oh man, like you have such a huge advantage over people who are not trained or not capable, right? That's huge. I want to go home at the end of the day. I want the other people who are doing this job to go home at the end of the day. They're good people, right? And that's a big motivation for why I left my job doing software engineering for 21 years to go and do this, is because ultimately, as I go through the ranks and do whatever I'm going to do as an officer, I really like to get into that training department. That's a long-term goal for me, for how do we need to change the culture in law enforcement to move away from that bullseye mentality, the paint's drying and it's like, oh my God, like that sort of thing, which is important, right, to get people shooting accurately. But how do we get people to do some of these harder skills like moving and shooting, changing up the distance, that type of stuff, that's stuff that is bread and butter that you see at the matches all the time.
I would think like you do jiu-jitsu too, right?
Yeah.
So
Nate
you're
and I, yeah.
Yeah, you're a purple belt, right?
Yeah.
So, and
5-year purple belt.
I mean, many law enforcement people in Sarasota do jiu-jitsu, and I think is it a requirement from the department, or the department encourages it?
Department encourages it. I think most of the departments, so SO encourages it. I know Sarasota PD encourages it. Manatee County deputies and stuff like that, they're also encouraged to do it. I don't know how the city of Bradenton is, and I don't know how DeSoto County and Arcadia PD are as far as that goes. They're the other closer agencies, but most of the people who are serious about their skills and their ability to like grab somebody And also just know how to grab somebody so that it's not going to be a big liability, right? You get somebody suplexing somebody and they bust their head open. That's not, it's always hard to make the violence pretty. You can't. But at the same time, morally and ethically, it was at the right play. You know?
Right, but it wasn't always so. Like so somebody saw Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the Gracies bringing it over and decided to transition it to law enforcement.
Oh yeah.
So then the same idea could be used for training shooting.
Oh yeah. Well, so there's a couple of agencies in California. CHIPS is one. There was a guy who just retired from California Highway Patrol after, I want to say, like 28 years on the job. He was big into competitive shooting and wanted to really bring the focus in the department back to that. And that has certainly been the case. And I think some of the agencies around here, they're starting to get that memo, and they're starting to go that route. I think
you could probably sponsor a match between law enforcement and use handguns.
Oh yeah,
I bet that would be a way to do it. Like you could.
That just happened up in Tennessee. Yeah, so that was the last match that I shot. I actually worked that match. The guys who were putting the match on, one guy is an agency up in Knoxville area. The other guy was at a federal agency around the Knoxville area. And they decided to sponsor this match and put this match on. Got a whole bunch of people and, donated equipment, guns. Vortex donated tons of optics and, banners. And
yeah, they do that.
Gosh, they're an awesome company to deal with, right? Huge support. And they let some civilians shoot, right? Civilians that were working the match and other civilians but they had opened it up primarily for law enforcement. And it was amazing. There were about 200 shooters, 150 law enforcement officers that were shooting, and it was an awesome match.
You could start that at Manatee.
Yeah, I hope so.
No, you could start your own match and hold it a couple times a year, and I bet the top level people would figure it out.
Yeah, I think they would. I think what it goes back to though is if you look back in the history of the sport, right, for IPSC or for USPSA, I think far more people who were in law enforcement actually went out and competed on the weekends, right? Because that's what you're kind of supposed to do. You're not supposed. It's not in service or something where you have to go. It's what you should be doing on your own time. If you're really interested, you should go and practice and get better and go to the range and go participate in these matches. So the idea of having a law enforcement only match, it's really good to diminish those barriers. Right, to get the cops who are maybe a little self-conscious about it and the ego and whatnot involved.
I wonder if the reason so many Leos are doing jiu-jitsu is because there's more of a chance of them getting into a scuffle versus them getting into a gunfight.
Oh, absolutely.
And so they better know their jiu-jitsu or they'll get on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, in that same effect, it also decreases the chance of a gunfight, because if you have something past just pestering someone and then grabbing a gun, you've got more options. I feel like a lot of the time, especially like body cam footage is seeing, there's a lot of situations where if that person knew more martial arts or just how to handle someone more properly, it could have been resolved without the gun being pulled. But in that situation, obviously, officer's number one priority is getting home.
Yeah.
If it's between I got nothing else or the gun, it usually ends up going to the gun. So I feel like those two go hand in hand. If you don't know jiu-jitsu, gunfight's more likely.
Well, I think part of it is, sorry to cut in, but I think part of it is also too is that there's that confidence of if you know how to just grab a hold of somebody and hold on to them and get control of them without choking them unconscious or breaking their arms or anything like that. If you're more willing to lay your hands on somebody and show that you mean business, I 100% believe that it's going to change the outcome, change the level of seriousness. There's a law enforcement officer, Chuck Haggard, who talks about it, using more violence, not like gunfighting and whatever, but using more intent to go there and be physical and grab somebody earlier on in certain interactions really changes the nature and really changes the confidence. They know you mean business at that point. Great. It definitely saves their life, saves your life, saves a lot of people, right? saves a lot of paperwork. That's huge, right?
Yeah.
That's again, self-preservation, right?
This is totally off topic, but Omar, I saw my first drone execution video today.
Oh God.
How has it been this long?
I don't know, man.
Was it two guys on the ATV?
It was the two guys on the ATV.
That's terrible to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see
That was the
12
first one I've ever seen.
I see 12 of those a day.
It's because our algorithm is that much different, I guess.
Yeah.
But
It's because I watched through them. That's
is that what they look like all the time?
Pretty much, yeah.
Like just like the top part of somebody gets blown off?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them where it's on the ones that usually end up going viral are the ones on non-combatants. Fucking weirdly enough, but it's like there's a lot of videos that
What do you mean non-combatants? They're wasting civilians?
Not civilians necessarily, but it's like a guy taking a shit in a porta potty, and then like the last frame before the drone feed cuts out is him just like while holding toilet paper or whatever. Or it's two dudes in a barn blowing each other as the drone comes in. Like there's a lot of those.
There's two dudes in a barn blowing each other, and then a drone comes in?
That was
that has really changed his Instagram programming, right? They're been pushing a lot of weird stuff to his feed after that one.
That was pretty early on.
Omar has talked about several times how he sees drone executions on a regular basis, like 7 before 9 a.m. And I don't see them. Like they're never in my feed. And just today I saw it. I was like, it said, don't scroll right unless you can handle it. And then there's some, guy getting blown in half.
There's a lot of those, yeah. I think I've talked about them before, but it's getting fucking crazy now to the point where there's people who are getting sponsorships. So like the bottom half of the drone feed, they literally just tape someone's like advertisement, like for their gambling website or whatever.
Oh fuck
and
yeah!
There's literally a real ad over footage of someone dying.
Did you see the hot chick who's supposed to be the Ukrainian drone operator? She looks like the girl from White Phosphor.
Remember, buddy, you're not immune to propaganda.
What?
That's psyop.
Oh, I'm sure it's not real. I'm just saying, did you see it?
Probably. There's a lot of like the look of a modern drone operator is super cool to me, where they've got those like big jammer packs and they've got the FPV goggles on like the night vision mounts that they can flip down. Like I've seen a lot of those where a lot of them aren't real, but it's just like the concept of a drone operator and combat.
I saw that. So I saw that video and then I watched it obviously for a bit, and then all of a sudden there's like the hot ass girl who's a drone operator in my feed too.
Yeah, if you interacted with both of those, I can guarantee it. You'll probably get more from now on.
That's awesome. So I get to see people actually.
Yeah. Remember, if you ever want to stop, you just click on the 3 buttons and you hit not interested, and then they'll stop.
Oh, okay. I've done that before. It didn't work. So you've got that fucking trigger.
I've got that fucking trigger.
Motherfucker.
Would you like me to?
I talked to them yesterday and said, "Where's my fucking triggers?"
Yeah. So I was waiting for us to get them, but I saw that they were in stock somewhere ready to ship, and I decided to pick one up because I didn't want to wait anymore. But
do you know what this is, Pepperoni?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like the biggest thing. One of the bigger things of the year is this trigger.
I'm super excited about it. That's the TriggerTech Ace. TriggerTech makes really, really high-end like competition bolt gun and AR triggers. They've apparently been working on this for 3 years, and they've been testing it and whatever. It's their Glock trigger. They call it the Ace. Great name. It's the most insane thing I've ever felt. They
Does
built.
it stand for anything?
I don't think so.
Ace.
No, they in the video they say
It makes you an ace.
Yeah, every time you pull the trigger, it'll feel like you've been dealt 2 aces. Is what they say.
Ah, okay. I even saw them in Louisiana at that show for Sports South. I saw them there and beeline for their booth and said, "Okay, how do I get the triggers?" They're like, "We don't have them yet, man." And they didn't even have one at the booth.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't even feel one. I was really disappointed. And then I really yelled at the rep. I didn't yell at him, but I said, "Hey, we're trying to hopefully we're going to do a day with them on the 26th of July. That will we have Trigger Tech Hollow Sunday, and they're supposed to have some here." But
Cool. Well, this is
Play with it.
no, I'm hopefully in a second. But.
Yeah. This is built on their same technology that's already on their bolt gun and AR triggers, where it's like zero creep and all of that. I don't know if the camera can get it, but you've got that much take up. There's no weight to it. And then you hit your wall, and then that's your break. No creep, no nothing. And then this is the back of the wall right here, so it doesn't travel any farther than that. You reset right there, and then that's as far as it goes. And it can be adjusted between 2.5 to 6 pounds. Mr. Grandmaster.
How much did it cost?
It was $250 on PSA, I think.
Jesus, that's a lot for PSA.
Grandmaster's opinions
Wow.
as a guy who
I see it?
shoots stock Glock triggers.
Yeah. Stock glonk.
I'm very excited about them. It's completely different from how a regular Glock trigger works. Like, there's a
Can
lot
you
of
please put sights on this thing, man?
no. It's a race gun, man.
I understand, but
doesn't
I
need
mean,
backup iron sights.
all right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It's light.
It's very adjustable. That's like, I think 4 pounds with one of the heavy and one of the light triggers, but you can customize. You can get it lighter than that if you wanted to. That's kind of where I found I like it. It's a completely different system than stock Glock. There's a lot of aftermarket Glock triggers out there, but they're usually always just changing around a Glock trigger. This one's completely different. Like,
What was needed to install it?
nothing much. It's just you change out your back plate. So they remove the disconnector from the trigger module and they put it onto the back plate, so it kind of goes in like a switch. It's not a switch. Don't worry. I don't have a illegal machine gun.
Jesus.
But yeah, so it's just it's a drop-in trigger like normal, but then you just have to change out your back plate. On Gen 5s, you have to cut off the little tab that they put on there to prevent you from putting switches on it.
So it's not Gen specific. You can do Gen 3 or Gen 5.
Gens 1 through 5, you can do all of them. Just on the 5s, you have to chop off. They added a little bit of plastic to prevent you from putting a switch into it. You just have to chop that off. Just goes off real easy with a knife. Again, that's not a switch.
Very secure.
I'm gonna buy one tomorrow.
You like it?
It was even lighter before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Did you play with it?
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
A little too light.
A little too light.
He made it slightly heavier. What you just felt.
You can put it in your 43 then, right? If it's the same thing.
No, it's only for double stacks. But it can go on pretty much all the double stacks. It goes in 40.
Isn't the 43 trigger the same thing as the Gen 5 trigger?
No, they're slimmer.
Slimmer. Okay.
Yeah. Real quickly, if you can get that on camera, adjusting the trigger weight is just like on their bolt gun triggers. It's literally just an Allen key, and you turn it, and each click is 1.5 pounds, and that's super convenient. So it does come with a couple springs that you can change out to kind of play with it, but once you've got those down, on the fly, you can make it 6 pounds, and then click it back a couple times, it's back to 2.5. Very easy to tune. I'm very happy with it so far. This was installed like less than 24 hours ago. I have not gotten the chance to shoot it yet, so I'll do a follow-up once I've actually shot it. No live rounds yet, but just from dry firing, it feels amazing.
Maybe we should do a video. Ooh, maybe you should do the side-by-side comparison of the Alien and the...
And a Glock 17.
and a Glock 17.
That's going to be a great comparison
That's a pretty good fucking trigger.
I think you're going to be fast with that trigger. You're already quick. That's going to be fast. Those splits are going to be like 0.18 at least all the time.
I'm hoping so. I wanted to make sure I got it before the USPSA match, so I could kind of give it a good try.
Yeah, Omar got 5th at the night match.
Oh, nice.
Steel Industries.
Yeah.
The Steel Industries one, yeah, got 5th.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Congrats.
Appreciate it. Yeah, very excited about it.
I got 20th.
We're going to have them in the shop. We'll be carrying them. I'd recommend it. They come in flat-faced, pro curve, and then traditional curved trigger shoes. I think that's how they named them. So one's like just a Glock. One's their version of a curved trigger, and then I have the flat one. I like flat triggers.
Were you stoked about getting 5th at the night match?
No.
Why?
Because I came 4th last month. And
yeah, I get it.
I wanted to improve, and I did not.
You know, I think it was because there was a whole lot of more people there.
Yeah, there were definitely better.
There were definitely better shooters there this time.
No, I performed really well.
You did pretty well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Those matches are super fun. Like, I don't know. I don't think you guys have been to them, but you can show up with.
I've never seen it.
You can show up with white light if you don't.
How are you fucking running around with your night vision like that, though? Like, did you practice running around with your night vision?
I practice moving around with night vision very often. Yeah.
I mean, I walk around with night vision a lot, but I can't fucking run like that. Like you could run.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. If you look at my raw time, I believe I came in first place on raw time on every stage. Just my accuracy wasn't all there. I had a lot of hostages. I think I hit.
You did.
Whoops.
A lot of no shoots. It's hard to tell the white and the brown ones apart under night vision. No, it's
absolutely it is.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
No, it was. I was moving. My number one goal was move fast, shoot fast, and I didn't always 100% confirm if that laser was completely on there, which is a little embarrassing, but it's fine. I shot like 4 hostages on the stage where there were 8 hostages. But like my time before the penalty was.
You're definitely not going to make it in law enforcement.
But you know, this is the interesting thing about competition, though, is that you see these little micro goals that you've got, right? Your goal was to move fast, shoot fast. Mission accomplished, right?
Yeah.
So now the next match that you go, you're gonna be like, I know I can do this at that pace. I just got to dial it in a little bit more. There you go. And then you keep making fewer and fewer mistakes as you get better at playing that game, and you figure out what are the weaknesses that you've got to work on that will get you a higher ranking, or just eliminate those mistakes over the long haul. That's what a lot of this competition stuff is really great for is, okay, you shake out your gear, you figure out, if your night vision stuff is balanced right, if you can move your head without it flopping off or whatever, if you can actually see your optic and see your laser, everything, you've got all the controls where you need it or whatnot. Same thing with like your pistol or whatnot. We're going to go shoot USPSA. My holster good? Is it too tight? Too whatever, does this mag work? Does this springs work? Does this trigger work? Is it going to light strike or not or whatever? You shake all that out and you start going to the matches and you kind of get that reps in and you figure out if that equipment's going to hold up. You figure out if your other supportive gear is going to hold up. And if you can kind of keep from making those bigger mistakes, then you start to see your scores advance. You start to get better and better as you get better at the craft of shooting, right? Or playing that, all the stuff that boils into shooting, moving, presenting the gun, whether it's a rifle under night vision and optics and stuff, or or a pistol around like a wall or a barricade. That stuff is all that this stuff is testing. And, let's be honest. Most of the people who buy guns, they make it out to the range to shoot. You get
They shoot a lot.
They shoot a lot. Right. Yeah. You get some accuracy work in and whatever. And then
I'm just kidding.
Then they bury it away. It's a cool object and stuff, and they kind of know their way around it, not to like be completely unsafe. But how many of those people are going out and working on the stuff that's going to get them a bigger benefit if they need to use it?
It's changing. It's definitely fucking light years ahead or light years difference. Like it's completely changed in the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
Like 10 years ago, fucking people did not shoot their guns. And people didn't care about, like, people bought what was cool. Everybody had a carry piece, but like people didn't really, purpose driven didn't really start coming out until the advent of the 43 and then the 43X. People really didn't start buying, at least what I didn't see, like purpose-driven guns. Like, and the competition people never, at least I've never seen them. Like they normally don't come in here. And then you didn't see people really shooting.
I don't know. I mean, Brian Keane.
Oh,
you dropped a lot of coin here, I bet, right?
No, I mean, like that's not. But prior.
Yeah,
prior. Like, I mean, there's just a huge change in firearms culture. Last 10 years, and people really didn't start shooting their guns, I think, in probably last 5.
Well, that goes into many aspects, especially when it comes to like defense. Like the citizen defense industry has really like become a thing in the last 10 years, because how many people owned body armor and night vision 10, 15 years ago? Not many.
Nobody.
Not nearly as many as are now. It's like that kind of stuff.
It was also harder to get.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of the companies that were, selling body armor didn't want to sell it to just anybody.
Yeah,
who
it was
out
taboo.
there.
And if you were, I mean, this is only hearsay. I wasn't around for this long ago, but like apparently if you, wore kit in any sort of way at a range, you'd be ridiculed for, LARPing or whatever. That's kind of what I've heard. Might not be true everywhere. But
yeah, remember, who was the guy? Was it Dakota Johnson? Who was the Medal of Honor winner who was making fun of people wearing kit? Remember that happened?
Yeah.
That was 3 years ago.
Who was it?
I'm not sure. But yeah, I feel like firearms are being treated in a much more serious way for actual use cases recently, just in a much different level. Even when it comes to like gun builds, I feel like I see a lot less, not necessarily a lot less, maybe the ratio has changed is the better way to put it, of like fun guns, like, oh, this one's a cool, like G3, for example, or an HK91. Like, that's a cool gun, but practically there's not much purpose to it. Now I see people spending more coin, less on unique stuff and more on like practical, like I have a 14.5, I need an 11.5, or
yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it's never been like that before, and now it's permeating into every day. Like it's people buy carry, they buy longer handgun, they buy rifle. I mean, everything is just the word purpose driven nowadays. It's there. Not a lot of people buying.
Yeah,
anacondas.
I think it has a lot to do with the internet too. Like, I don't know, 15 years ago, I wasn't really into. I mean, I was into guns, but I was too young to buy real guns. But you couldn't really find. There wasn't that much information on like what's a good, do it all rifle. What rifle do you want for shit hits the fan? What, what plate carrier do you want? What helmet? What pistol? What holster? And now,
like 15 years ago, you had Moss Pawn.
Yeah, you had
right?
you had nothing fancy,
Moss Pawn. Like you didn't have like, and
you didn't have Lucas. You didn't have all these other people.
No Grand Thumb.
Yeah,
The Magpul training videos. That set everything off.
Art of the
was it?
Art of the rifle or
Art of the rifle.
The super aggressive C clamp. Like seeing that. Oh, that's beautiful. I feel like that really kickstarted it. I'm gonna give a lot of credit to Lucas Botkin. I feel like he did a lot for the space.
What do you think about him commenting on our video?
Oh, it's crazy. We did a little like short video of a segment where I was talking about.
He called you Green Man.
Yeah. Eric edited it in a funny way where every time I am green too. Yeah,
he does that kind of stuff.
Every time the camera cut to me, it was that T-Rex arms like looking through an RMR green filter on there, and he called me Green Tint Man, which was very cool. I've got that picture printed on my wall now.
Do you really?
Of that comment, yeah.
No, you don't.
I do.
Do you really?
It's framed and everything. Green Tint Man, baby.
Maybe you should get your first tattoo as Green Tint Man.
I don't know about that. First tattoo's got to be important.
Well, that's important.
Sure. But yeah, overall, the whole space, like I haven't been a part of it for that long. I've only been allowed to own them for relatively very small amount of time, but I do hear a lot about people talking about how things used to be, like the days of being able to buy SKSs off the back of pickup trucks for $25
Oh,
a
it
piece.
was.
Yeah, but that was so
awesome.
long ago.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. You could buy those tuna cans, 7.62 or a 5.45. Oh, great caliber.
Speaking of which, of the
Can't find it
history,
now.
you touched on it earlier. Just want to say I've watched those videos. There's videos of some of them, and I would highly recommend you guys too. Those very first IPSC events, like early 80s. It is so fun to watch because it's like before there was a meta developed.
It was on ESPN.
Oh yeah, and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Like there's no hardline meta. Like you see trends.
What
like
do you mean hardline meta?
It's kind of a video game term I just noticed, but
I have no idea what that means.
meta is like Dean knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Meta means, you mean hardline meaning the best?
No. Meta is like
I thought meta means the best.
Sure, yeah.
The status quo.
It's in
The state
video
of the
games,
art.
In video games, if you let a video game where there's a lot of option run long enough, a meta will develop where people realize, oh, out of this game with 30 guns that you can use, these two are the ones that are statistically the best ones. So the meta is to use those two. So like all personalization and customization kind of disappears and it all just turns into meta. Call of Duty is a great example. The game will launch. There'll be 30 guns in it with 800 different attachments you can put on it. First few weeks, you'll see everything. People will be using everything with everything. Then a couple months will go by, meta will develop, and now you only see the same two guns over and over and over again. And I feel like that's kind of similar with everything. So like in competitive shooting, of course, there's always going to be people that do their own thing.
What were they using back then? Did you see?
A lot of like custom 1911s, that seemed to be the trend from what I saw. But like I said, there wasn't really a hardline meta. So
I've got a great story.
Oh, yeah?
Tell us.
So we're out at a local range and we're doing our in-service. And
What's that mean?
In-service is your mandatory firearms training and
Okay.
like your recertifications and all this stuff.
Okay.
And it's like, oh man, I need a break. I need to go hit the can. And the range at that point still had the bathrooms where they had like the range library. So, these are these books from like 1980, loading for the M1 and, like whatever, like really arcane stuff where if you were super into shooting CMP matches or something like that with your Grand and all that.
Appleseed.
Right. What was that?
Appleseed? Isn't that the...
Appleseed's a little bit different. CMP is like the Civilian Marksmanship Program. They have the big event in Ohio every year.
The Garand people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they, how to load for it and what to do and all this. But I found a book from 1985. It was The Art of Handgunnery. And that book has existed as a title for a while. It's like the Gun Digest stuff. It has, come and gone and iterated. When I started, I had a copy of this book that I loved, and I still have it, and it's like I thumbed through it. Masa Ayub had written it and compiled a lot of this stuff, but going back, it was some other guy. So I have like the 1985 copy of it, and you see people shooting from leather holsters, 1911s, customized 1911s, metalloy finishes, which are these like micro nickel instead of like a hot dip nickel plating or whatever, was like micro adhered electrolysis nickel and whatever. Interesting stuff. A lot of that state of the art has actually been absorbed and built, and there was definite trends for how things occurred. If you were shooting Bianchi Cup, of course you'd run a revolver or whatever because it's just inherent accuracy and all this stuff. But if you're shooting IPSC, then who makes the mags and who makes the followers for the mags, and every part was built with like a purpose to it. And now, man, I mean, you see a couple of people show up with 1911s, and there are some single stack events that are purely for the 1911 in USPSA or an IDPA, but like, man, it's a dinosaur. Like nobody practically, runs these things. I might have a few guys who carry them or whatever, but like, I don't know. Most people are going to buy a Glock or a stick.
I can't remember the last time we sold one.
Yeah.
Like a single stack. Do you know, Luke?
Now, I mean, we sell the Nighthawks. Those are single stack, but that's different.
That's different. No, we sold,
high end,
Yeah.
right?
we sold a Commander maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time we sold another 1911. I've got them though. I like them.
Yeah.
They're cool guns, right? Awesome guns, but as far as like a lot of people, like 45 is tapered off as far as like a popular caliber. But it was crazy to like walk in and be like, I think if I take this book and I don't bring it back to the library, they're going to be okay. And then the next time we show up at the range, that entire building had been demolished, and they probably threw out all the books anyway. So I don't feel bad.
Morally good.
Morally okay. I saved a piece of history is the way I'm looking at
That's
it.
great.
Right?
Love
So
it.
you stole the book while
He preserved the book.
I preserved the book
you
for safekeeping.
you pilfered the book while training for the police.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
All right, all right.
History of the sport, right? Don't want it to slip away, but definitely, it's neat as you see these trends layer on and everything. Another interesting book. There's a book for authors about how firearms work. As if you're writing like a murder mystery novel or whatever, then you don't want to get certain things or certain details wrong. Or if you're writing a Western, you don't want to get like details of like these single actions or something wrong. And it's interesting because that book, I think, was published in 1990. I bought it at a used bookstore. It was like on the dollar shelf. And I was like, I'll take it. And it's kind of interesting. And no talk of optics, no talk of open guns, race guns, whatever. Optics weren't even a thing. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's just, you kind of see it in some of these books kind of preserved as a snapshot in time. It's neat.
We're in a book.
Really?
There's some dude who writes like he's kind of successful. He writes like Clancy novel-ish kind of things like and one of his characters has a mug with Shark Coast Tactical on it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I remember like somebody commented at a show. I'm like, what the fuck? And I went and looked him up. Sure enough.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
I do like as the kind of community modernizes, the sport does keep up from what I've been able to tell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, obviously, the addition of limited optics and carry optics being the biggest ones, but even like...
PCC.
Yeah, PCC. The small stuff for me, like, that was huge because as I'm getting into it, like, I found out early on that thigh straps were not allowed in USPSA because they were too militaristic.
No, I think it's just changed the way like the holster worked or whatever, so they got rid of them.
Well, apparently it's back now. At least,
I think you can run them.
Yeah,
now.
at least you can run those, which is great because I've got thigh straps on my.
Really? Allow them now?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Same thing with flashlights. I believe that's pretty new too. As long as it's a functional flashlight and not just a fucking lead block.
Yeah.
You can run flashlights, which is great because I've got flashlights I'd like to run.
Now they make like a big brass or tungsten weight with like a light emitting diode that like has no lumens.
See, that's
but
the
it's
meta.
functional.
That's the meta.
Functional.
That's what I'm saying. As things goes on, it always goes into a meta of people figuring out how to game it, and then I really dislike it because I see it in everything where the variety kind of goes away as people start to realize what the best stuff is and only run that. Mm-hmm. Like, if my understanding of it is correct, like if you're an open, that obviously apart from the few guys that are going to be competing way above their above what their equipment is, it's mostly going to be those super high end, 1911 style race guns with 8 ports on their compensator and the bridges.
2011.
If you go to limited, it's mainly going to be 2011s. If you go to carry optics, probably mainly going to be Berettas or CZ Shadows. Like
CZ, Glock. I mean, they just had limited optics, or excuse me, carry optics nationals, optic nationals just concluded.
I was watching that
literally this weekend. Christian Seiler won it again, amazing. JJ Rakaza shooting a Beretta with an optic, finished third. Miriam Brantley, who worked with Lucas Bakken.
Glock 17.
Glock 17 with a SRO.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've built this off of, is his gun.
Some weights on it, I think, and I think that's pretty much what he ran.
Yeah.
He ran that at the law enforcement match when I had to RO him. Super nice guy, by the way. Awesome. Then, the best shooter in the world. I don't know what Christian Seiler was running, but I think it may have been a Glock. I mean, we can probably look it up. He'll probably talk about it, but I mean, the second guy definitely ran a Glock. It's interesting. So you can still go out there and at a very high level compete with something that you can just buy at any gun store and change it and customize it to how you kind of want it to run, and that's cool.
I've inspected Brantley's guns a lot, and like he talks about them a lot. And a lot of the stuff I've built, I've kind of built up like my belt setup pretty much based on his recommendations on how he sets it up, and it's nothing like custom done about it. It's not even like a direct milled optic. It's an MOS with a forward controls plate on it with the SRO. It's the trigger is different, but not like a brand new trigger. I think it just reduces the take up or something. It's a very like light modification, basically OEM polished parts trigger, and then one of those tungsten or brass like grip plugs, and that's it. That's all he's done to the gun. You can build that like here in Amazon. You can walk in here, buy that MOS, buy the SRO, go to Amazon, buy the plate, buy the plug, and you've got the exact thing he's running for under $1,000 basically. Like it's amazing to see that. I mean, because of the accessibility of it too. Especially going into it, I feel like it can be very jaunting to see all these super high-end custom builds and feeling like you have to match that to be able to compete, and it's really not the case.
No, be the guy that shows up with a Beretta 92 at a match. It's like, what's your problem? I like it. You'll do fine.
Luke, is all this competition talk making you want to do competition?
It does. Again? It does.
With your revolver?
I mean,
wheel gun man.
I am.
Real man.
I'd probably come in first and last because no one else competes with a revolver that I know of.
But you did a match. You did a match with a revolver, right?
We did like a practice. It was like a practice match thing.
Or were you doing the Monday night match with a revolver?
No, I never did the Monday night.
So we had, you know who Caleb Giddings is? He now works for Taurus. He used to work for Ruger, and he's a big wheel gun guy on Instagram. He used to run like Gun Nuts Media a couple of years back and whatever. But he came out. He shot on a Monday night, and he shot very well. He shot his revolver with moon clips,
nice
8-shot cylinder and everything like that. It was a 30 or 9mm revolver, but GP 100 at the time. And now he works for Taurus, and I think he's still been shooting a lot.
That is Luke's kind of guy.
Yeah. So what revolver are you running?
I usually run
for the two people that care out there, other than you and me, right?
A 4-inch 586.
Nice.
And, with the HKS speed loaders.
Yeah.
I just got a model 2028, which is a 357 4-inch.
Yep.
But
the old
where
end frame.
What?
Where'd you get the Model 28 from? Smith & Wesson points?
No. It's an old one. I got it from somebody.
Yeah, pinned and recessed.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are fucking embezzling the Smith & Wesson points.
No, I got it used. It's a used gun.
Yeah, motherfuckers.
I'm still embezzling the points.
They're all embezzling the fucking points. You with me, right?
Yeah.
They fucking they embezzle all the free shit. They do. You know what we're talking about? Pepperoni, like the salesman.
No idea.
They get credit from the different gun companies for selling shit, and so they'll just take receipts and free shit will come in, and they take it. They don't say anything.
As it should be.
No, it's all right. It's like their little. It's one of their benefits. But yeah, like fucking this creepy fucker Andrew, he's got the Dirty Harry gun.
Oh, yeah, that Model 29. Yeah,
he got like a leather holster for it and stuff. Like it's something. I mean, if I got it for Father's Day, I would be really happy. This fucking little creepy kid who works there. He's like, oh, look at this. And he got it. How'd you get that? Smith & Wesson points.
You go into this tangent a lot. You know you own a gun store, right?
I can't fucking just take stuff.
You've said on multiple occasions you absolutely can't.
No, I can't do that.
Sometimes something cool will come in and you'll just be like, mine?
Nah, I don't do that. Let
me look at that wall real quick.
Sometimes, as long I'm really into shiny shit.
Yeah.
So before we go, we have to talk about the HPA.
Oh boy.
The what?
The Hearing Protection Act.
Oh,
And the Short Act.
did it pass?
Yes.
No.
I mean, it's
The Senate.
So the panel, right, is very indicative of the gun world right now. So you're a gun enthusiast who's not obviously up to speed on exactly what's happening, which is a good segment of the world. Omar is one of the angry people.
Very angry.
He's very. Dean is kind of indifferent.
My guy.
Yeah.
and then me and Luke are happy about it.
Oh yeah.
So there's a Senate parliamentarian
that he talked about last.
She's this lady.
Parliamentarian.
She's this lady. That position was made in 1930. It's got no constitutional power. She was not elected. She was appointed by a senator who's dead during the Obama administration. And this lady's whole job is to look at budget reconciliation bill. Not her whole job, but in this case, she looks at the budget reconciliation bill and determines if it actually has to do something with the budget. Because budget reconciliation bills only need a simple majority, so 50 plus 1.
Right.
Regularly, they need a supermajority, 60 plus 1.
The long story short is there's no more stamp cost.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, they reduced it to zero.
To zero, yeah.
The House passes the Hearing Protection Act. It goes to the Senate. Senate not only confirms it, but they add the Short Act onto it. So the way they had it set up is silencers, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and AOWs off the NFA, no longer NFA items. You can just walk into a store and grab them with a background check. Then, after it's cleared the hardest fucking hurdles you can possibly clear, which is the House and the Senate, the parliamentarian goes, actually, this doesn't have anything to do with the budget. Take it out. Even though it's a tax, she didn't get that part. It's not a ban. NFA is not a ban. It's a tax.
It's a tax.
But she believed that it violated the Byrd Rule, which means it's not about the budget. So they reintroduced it. Senate reintroduces them where they just got rid of the tax stamp. But the registration process is still there, which I'm very upset about. Because A, people are going to go to prison for 15 years for not paying their $0 tax stamp. B, the only reason the NFA was deemed constitutional is because it's a tax and not a ban. And now the tax part is going away, which makes no fucking sense. And then...
When did the government ever make sense, though?
Absolutely.
The big thing is how close we were. Because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get something removed from the NFA. We haven't had anything fucking pro-gun in a century. And we clear the hardest hurdles, the most difficult ones, which is passing the House, passing the Senate. Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's being put into a bill that we know the president will sign. We've got a little bit of a majority in both chambers. Opportunity like this will never come again. Like, we'll never be able to take anything off the NFA like this for a very, very, very long time. And we cleared the hardest hurdles. And then this one unelected lady is now making it so that it's just $200 less now.
Why do you think if it wasn't just one elected lady, there wouldn't be one other unelected man or another unelected lady? It does. I mean, like you're saying it's just because this one lady who did it. And if she wasn't there, there'd be another lady who did it. And how do you know the intention all along from the gun lobbies wasn't to get it stricken from the NFA, although they said it was, but was it just only to get the tax taken off because that was realistic and not getting it off the NFA is unrealistic?
This is the argument I hear the most often. It's like, well, this was more realistic. This is what was always going to happen. No, like, we got it there. It was unrealistic, and we got it to the finish line, and there happened to be a lady standing there who kicked us at the finish line.
Because that's how the system works. The system has a fucking lady on the finish line who fucking wrecks your fucking dreams. It's like the analogy you talked about where you had a date with a really hot chick, and then at the end of the night when you're supposed to bang her, some fat girl comes up and says she just wants you to hang out. She just wants to be friends.
Okay, you butchered it a little bit.
Of course, that's what I do.
My main thing is this lady's job. The Senate Majority Leader Thune and J.D. Vance could fire her. They are in complete power to fire her. They have no reason to keep her around. Constitutionally, this position doesn't fucking exist.
Okay, do you know that for a fact?
I know that for a fact. They have every right to fire her at any point. It is 100% within their power to do so. And a lot of people called and they didn't do it.
Well, if they fired her, then I get it. I mean, I get why you and at least half of the gun world is very upset about this, but I mean, I learned a long time ago, not that long ago, but I learned when you fight the government, you never win.
But we were there. That's the thing.
You never. No. It's not that you never win. It's like you compromise with the government. They'll never let you win, never. But they'll let you get. Kind of wins.
But this wasn't the government. This was one lady who made a bad call.
Who works for what? The government.
Yeah, but right. If it had failed in the Senate, I would not have the opinion I have. If it failed the Senate and then they added it and they got rid of the tax stamp, I'd be happier than I am now. The reason I'm pissed is because Senate passed it and the lady threw it out. That's why I'm pissed. It's this one unelected lady that prevented this historic.
So go back up. As you just said, they could have fired her.
Yes.
So it's not just the lady; it's everybody. It's the whole fucking swamp.
I think this is the biggest problem is that you have precedent, right? You have the way the system has worked in a lot of things, and as things become normalized, right? Then I think that's why they hang on for so long. That's why the gun industry, unfortunately, changes slowly as well. But yeah. I'm happy, but I'm also sad because I totally get what you're saying.
The only silver lining is that they could use this if somebody's got the fucking balls in the government to do it. They could bring it up to the Supreme Court and be like, hey, you remember back in 34, or I think it was 37, they were like, hey, remember when you guys said the only reason the NFA is legal and constitutional is because it's a tax? Well, the tax is gone, so you got to deem it unconstitutional now. That's the only possible silver lining I can see from this, and I hope that happens if this goes through.
Yeah, how do you know that's not their intention next summer?
Judicial review. Right?
I'm hoping it is, but knowing where we got to and how it got curb stomped, because we were winning. We were getting tired of winning. And
but we still got to win, though. And you're so upset.
I don't see it as a win. I see like it's $200 off your silencer, but the actual core of the problem is still there. You still got to register it for some fucking reason because some politician in 34 decided it was dangerous or whatever. You're still going to go to prison for having one without your $0 tax stamp. Like people keep telling me like, oh, just take the win and leave. Like I don't see this as a win.
Who's telling you to take it as a win?
Nate was telling me earlier, like, Nate was telling me, like, imagine you go to the ice cream shop and, you know, you're getting free ice cream and they didn't have fudge. This is what this is like. And I'm like, no. This is like, I get to the ice cream shop and they don't have the fucking ice cream. So just give me a cup of fudge.
No, they gave you a cup of fudge with some Reese's Pieces in it and didn't have the ice cream. It's still pretty good.
Boohoo, $200 cheaper. That's not.
So, dude, I mean, that's the thing. Like. It's not boohoo $200 cheaper. There's a lot of people where $200 is a lot of money, including you.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of people. Like a lot of people are, for instance, why is anybody shooting guns without a suppressor? It's really fucking bad for your hearing.
Oh yeah.
Like you're shooting in like it is completely normal indoors to shoot without suppressors and just fucking wreck your hearing. You can't tell me that you got muffs or whatever fucking shitty ass ear pro that they're trying to peddle on people from Amazon is helping people's hearing. People are just ruining their fucking hearing.
I'll give my analogy and I would love to get your opinion on this.
Yeah.
But the analogy that I gave you, Will, is like you find the most 10 out of 10 smoking hot girl. You take her out on a date. The date's going great. She's laughing at your jokes. She invites you back to her dorm or whatever, and you're right there. You get to the door. You're about to go in. You're about to get what you want, and her fat roommate's at the door and goes, she's not interested. And now you're telling me, well, aren't you glad you got to spend time with her? Like, sure, man. Yeah, I'm glad I got to spend time with her. I'm not fucking happy about it. Mr. Pepperoni, please.
Oh, I don't know how to follow that. You know, I'm the fat chick at the door, right? You know, but so I remember when the assault weapon ban sunset, and you would still go. I think I still have a whole bunch of magazines that are marked restricted law enforcement use only, and it was tough to find. I mean, ARs. I mean, it was hard to buy an AR at this point. It was hard to buy an AR that had some sort of threaded muzzle device or
Threaded barrel,
whatever.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, no flash hiders or anything like that. And then all of a sudden that stuff started to go away, and then people were like, well, wait a minute, we can actually just $200 is my liquor bill on a Friday night. Like, why don't we just pay the tax and throw a suppressor on it? Like, why don't we start making suppressors? And I don't know. I think we've come a long way, and it is. It does still suck that there's some of this regulation and some of this registration that's on the books. I kind of wonder how it's going to work for states where they are more restrictive, like Illinois.
They're still fucked.
Oh yeah. But I'm kind of curious if in the long run, if somebody isn't going to say, hey, if the original intent was to have a tax or was to do this and now there is no tax, then bring a suit against the government and maybe it does get changed. So I think that's one of the bigger reasons why people vote the way that they do if they're voting strategically, is that you stack the panel of judges with people who are going to have the outlook that you want in whatever pet issue that you have, right? Not to speak too politically or whatever, but if you're pro-gun and you have like a panel of Supreme Court justices and appellate judges that are more permissive and more conservative in that view or more supportive of that argument, then you get ahead slowly, but it does change, and I think it's always changing. So it's like man, I remember starting. That was the reason I started shooting production, is because 10-round mags were the ones that you could actually find. 10-round mags were the ones that were readily available, like high caps and extendos and all that stuff. They didn't exist. So it's crazy. It's changed a lot. So I'm glad, but also upset. So
yeah, well, I think I agree more with Will that this is a good thing. I mean, I've been legal to buy guns for like 10 years, so I can't remember, like, I don't know of any pro-gun legislation that was passed in the past 10 years.
Besides the reversal of the bump stock ban.
Yeah, but that wasn't really like a law passed. That was more of a interpretation.
Thing,
yeah. And then I think that there is a good chance that if a lot more people start buying suppressors because of the no tax, there'll be a case for common use with SBRs, suppressors, and SPSs, which I think is, I feel like it's already almost there with common use of how many we sell here, like
stockless shotgun.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a good thing. You got to take your wins. I think that a lot of people in the gun community are very like all or nothing, and I think a lot of politicians, they're not going to, if we're never happy, they're not going to reciprocate and put their political capital on the line for,
and they don't
gun
care.
owners.
They don't care if you're happy.
Yeah, they don't care.
Like they don't give a shit.
It's all subject to change, which is a good part, which is also the bad part.
Yeah.
But
I think that I understand your grievance, Omar, and I understand the people, like the fucking 500 comments that are on our Facebook page right now of people pissed off about it. Like there was 500 comments on there, and at least 70% of them were people with your outlook.
Yeah.
But like what?
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people are mad. But the thing that that Pepperoni touched on, and first off, like for us to even have suppressors in America is something that most of the world can't. Most of the world can't have firearms the way that we have. And it's of course I understand most of the world doesn't have a fucking Second Amendment. I get it.
But just real quickly, can I butt in? Most countries where you can own guns, you can just buy the suppressor off the shelf. It's not even like in most countries in Europe where there's hunting, suppressors are just something you can order and ship to your door. They're not even considered firearms.
it's mandatory in a lot of places.
A lot of places.
No, I get it, but it wasn't that long ago where there was an assault weapons ban. It wasn't that long. So check out like the history of guns. Like it wasn't that long ago where California you could fucking buy cool shit. Like California was some of the birthplace of fucking coolness when it comes to firearms. And look at it now, and like things have grown, and to me it's kind of a win to at least get rid of the stamp. or get rid of the cost of the stamp. Like it'll change and it'll mean so much commerce, man. Like so many people are going to get suppressors, and so many people are going to get jobs, and so many people are going to get raises, and there's going to be so much innovation and so many different things that, to me, I can't not think it's kind of a win. But I dig your perspective and I understand it.
If we weren't so close, like I said, if it had gotten squashed in the House or squashed in the Senate, all that would have been different. The fact that we cleared the House and the Senate and this lady stopped it. But
they knew, like, so when you say we were so close, like that's the thing. They knew the lady was going to stop it. They knew the whole time.
And they could have done something about it.
It was all according to plan.
It pushes the blame somewhere else where people won't be angry at them. They're angry at the lady, which now sets more precedent to maybe get rid of the lady or maybe not, but at least the finger didn't hit them.
Just along, like many moons ago, like I had to fight the government for a while. And when the government finally settled and we had won or whatever, and I talked to my lawyer and I said, what do you mean? That's not a fucking win. It's not a win at all. I said, this. And he said, Will, like, you don't win against the government. You get a compromise, you get a settlement, because the government's never going to admit that they lost. And so it's the same thing. Like, at least we got something. And I get it. Like, fucking, there should be it is unconstitutional. 100%. Second Amendment all the way in the United States. There's a reason why it's the Second Amendment. Like, there's no fucking commas. It should be what you and I and Dean and everyone thinks it is. But this is reality. And for what happened, I think it's monumental. I think I think there was never, like, it would never get past that lady. And for it to, like, I thought it was fucking done. And for it to pop back on there and then get past the lady, she could have fucking parliamentaried again. And we got it. And so, but we shall see.
Hey, just think how pissed the last guy who paid the $200 for his stamp is right now, right?
Yeah, I mean,
do I get that back? No.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with DMs in my social media. Hey, man, I just bought 5. Can I get my money back?
Well, at the time of recording this, Wednesday the 2nd, it still has to go back to the House for them to confirm all the changes they've made and everything.
Yep.
It is still, I'm in my little pipe dream with my tinfoil hat. It is still possible that they reintroduce it in its original text, and maybe it gets past the lady this time. And maybe by the time this podcast goes out, we'll be fine. But it's probably going to get signed in 2 days. I hope something happens. I'm not hopeful that it will. I'm kind of crushed right now. I'm very, very crushed because of how, again, close we were. But maybe
you got something.
It's such a small thing. It's just the whipped cream. I wanted the ice cream.
So let's go back to the fat girl analogy. Where you're thinking that you're going to get some when you're taking her back, and you never were. And it didn't matter.
Oh,
it didn't matter.
Because she was already there.
It didn't matter that there was a fat girl cock blocking you.
Yeah, but my homie could have done something about the fat girl. He had every right to.
No, if there wasn't the fat girl, she wouldn't let you in anyway, bud.
God.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you're blaming it all on the fat girl.
I am.
The fat girl.
And Stone and JD Vance could have done something about it.
But the girl you took home might have texted ahead already.
Yeah.
Hey.
How do you know she didn't have a dick?
Oh.
And we are going to call it. Wow. We appreciate you guys tuning in to our podcast, and we appreciate the famous Pepperoni from the local competition, the infamous Pepperoni coming in from the local competition circuit. Check this out. We appreciate you guys watching us. If you could go to our other social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, like us over there. We do this purely to increase our footprint in the internets and help our business here locally, Bee Ridge Road in Sarasota. It really, 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 really helps if you comment, if you smash the like, if you share it. It helps with the algorithm, and it makes our life better.
Even if you just hit the share button and don't share with anyone, that still helps.
It still helps. We appreciate you guys. We will see you again.
See you.
Thank you, Pepperoni.
Awesome. Pleasure.
Bye-bye.